Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. Apologies for the sound of the thunder in the background. Today, the Great Chinese Gold Sponge. One of the great puzzles of medieval economics is why the economic system works at all. Essentially, the European economy, if you are standing at the border of China and looking westward, is an elaborate method for shipping gold and silver to China in exchange for spices. Medieval Europeans understood this. What they did not understand was that the price of gold remained stable over hundreds of years, and that, frankly, made no sense at all. Gold is not consumable. That is, you don't use it up so that you need more. Therefore, once you have it, you should want it less. Therefore, after the Europeans first sent 10 tons of gold eastward, the price should drop a little, so that you need more gold to pay for the same amount of spices. But it doesn't. If anything, gold gets slightly more expensive over time. The other possibility, that there is a limitless demand for gold, makes no sense either, because that just means that the price should start very high and then fall as Europe starts to meet it. Steady prices and insatiable demand coupled make very little sense. And so the European economy makes very little sense. Now, there are ways of making this make sense, and we discuss them as plot hooks in City and Guild. We didn't, however, say what was really happening, what the real source of the gold sponge was. Gold in Europe was used as a commodity. It is consumed to make things, and then the things are used by people. In China in period, however, the link between gold and the idea of a medium for exchange is far weaker than in Europe. Gold is not money. Gold is the stuff you make jewellery and furniture out of. This means that gold is, in a sense, consumed, in that it is turned into jewellery. Rather than, say, staying in circulation, gold sinks into the ruling class of China and vanishes, because its function is to demonstrate the capacity for conspicuous consumption. Unless there's a sudden sacking of a city, which liberates its gold, there's no reason for this gold to circulate. And this gold doesn't make you want less gold or the same gold at a lower price. The ability to get more gold and give gold as presents affirms the character's status far beyond gold's actual usefulness. Remember that what's being traded for the gold are spices and silks, which are surplus to those which are required by the noble class of China. That is, there's no real opportunity cost to the ruling class of China to get all of this gold, and no real opportunity lost to refuse to get it. It's precious and reserved for certain nobles, but it's not money in the Western sense. The reason Europeans don't think of this as an explanation for why gold has such a strange price property in China is that it occurs because China's population is ridiculously large compared to that of mythic Europe. They think of China as a country, like England or Scotland or Spain, whereas actually China makes all of Europe look like a little peninsula. Gold's price stability is simply because of the population scale being so astronomically. Gold's price stability is because the population scale of China is completely unexpected. In both China and, more explicitly, India, having gold is one way of storing your money. Money that is stored goes out of physical circulation, although it continues to circulate as credit. The gold itself just gets put away in storage. Its function is to wait for disaster, and provided disaster doesn't strike, it stays out of the economy, in some cases for hundreds of years. That is, gold flees the economy as a form of insurance. Now, City and Guild offers some more mythic reasons for the Asian gold sponge, but it's important to note that the Hermetic Magi both know how the European economy operates and likewise know that it shouldn't work. There's an incongruity in Asia that should make it crash. If Marco Polo goes to China in mythic Europe, he makes matters worse. Polo says there's gold everywhere in China. Given that gold is valuable because it is scarce, it makes even less sense. When you turn up, the Khan makes you hand over all your treasure and gives you a piece of paper which merchants treat as money because he says so, and he's willing to kill anyone who refuses his scrip. gold is everywhere, and actually there is only one customer. After Polo, the gold price makes even less sense than before. Some extra plot hooks for the great Chinese gold sponge. Remember, there are others in City and Guild. What if the Chinese are throwing the gold off the edge of the world? What if they were right about the cosmology and the Europeans were wrong? The world was a disc, and its spin needs to be corrected. Sadly, the trajectories they've been using to fling the gold are off, and the gold, having looped under the world erratically, is now crashing down from the sky in Europe as flaming liquid. What can be done locally to protect from, or take advantage of, this calamity? Another idea. Gold is metaphorical sunlight. What if it's used as ammunition in the war against shadow beings from the underside of the world? When these creatures break through in the far west, what can the Order do? Are these linked to the Egyptian Mut, the shadowy enemies from the west? And a third one. The alchemists of China may have found a way to use gold as corpus spheres and to use it to extend lifespans. An experiment, however, has gone wrong, releasing a gold elemental into the world. Like some other elementals, it can breed by division and expand by contact with more of its substance. When gold becomes belligerent, what can the player characters do to survive, profit, and learn? Thanks for tuning in. Apologies again for the thunderstorms. Next week, a special episode about Anzac Day and the role of the Australian commemoration of the First World War in the design of House Tremare.